Good morning, everyone. So again, I would like to welcome you all on our English Maritime course. And this is your instructor, Elaine, for today's discussion. So it's still part of our topic, the advanced reading skills. So we will just have to continue the parts that we haven't discussed last time. So today, our topic is about skimming and scanning. So, in maritime context, skimming and scanning are vital reading strategies for efficiency reading. So, here, first is we have what we call the skimming. So, skimming is used to quickly grasp the main ideas of a document, like by reading the titles, heading, introductions, something like that. This is also to help understand the general content and determine if a document is relevant for further in-depth reading. So we have here some techniques that help the maritime professionals quickly understand the relevant informations from manuals or reports or safety instructions without reading every word. So first is read the title, introduction, and the conclusion. So you should always pay attention to headings, this, the subheadings, and any bolded or italicized text which highlight the important points. Another one is read the first sentence of every paragraph to get the main point of each sections. So this one, it focus on the first sentence of each paragraph. So usually the topic sentence is there and the concluding sentence to get the main idea of the section. Look for the heading or subheading, bolded text, and keyword. So those are the highlighted important points. Another one is glance at any images, charts, or graphs for context. So you have to also like scan visuals. So you need to look for the tables, charts, and images for the key information and the context. So you have to identify some keywords that summarize the content of the sections or the documents. So in maritime, it's very useful for quickly reviewing a long series of uh, port state control inspection reports to understand the overall compliance issues or for getting the gist of a new maritime regulations documents before the deeper read. So next is what we have here is what we call the scanning. So the scanning is to quickly find the specific piece of information such as the particular date, keyword, or fact without reading the entire text. So, scanning is involve rapidly locating the specific pieces of the informations. So here in scanning, you need to identify the specific keywords or phrases you are looking for. So, determining the exact keyword or phrases to locate the specific information needed. Another one is move your eyes rapidly over the text, focusing only on locating these keywords. So you need to look for the like numbers, the percentage, or highlighted information that could point to the specific data you need. It's like scanning systematically, moving your eyes quickly and systematically across the page, like left to right, then up and down, looking only for your keyword. So once the keyword is found, read the surrounding material to find the exact detail you need. So you need to check the surrounding material to confirm it is the correct information you were searching for. So here in maritime industry, this is essential for locating specific navigations alerts in a safety circular, finding a particular method of emergency repair in a technical manuals, or retrieving a specific detail from a vessel's cargo manifest. So next is about the active reading and annotations. So this is the second skills that we can consider for having a advanced reading skills. So active reading and annotations in maritime field, it involves a strategically interacting with the maritime text, such as the technical documents, regulations, or research papers. By highlighting the key informations, writing notes, asking questions, and summarizing in the margins to enhance a comprehensions and critical engagements. So So here, what is the meaning of a active reading and annotations? So the active reading, as we have here, this is the conscious effort to engage with the text beyond just reading the words, involving a critical analysis and a strong purpose for reading. While the annotations that we have is this is the act of taking notes and making marks directly on a, directly on or alongside the text to record the key informations, thoughts, and questions. So I have here some steps on how it applies in maritime context. First is the regulations and laws. So the international maritime laws, national maritime codes, and the safety regulations. Another one is in the technical manuals. So ship maintenance guides, equipments, and operations manuals, and technical specifications. There are also some charts and navigations rule. So nautical charts, sailing directions, and rules of the road at the sea. We also have some research papers. So studies on marine science, naval architecture, and maritime economics. So I have here now the strategies for active reading and annotations. So first, we have here some steps in pre-reading. First is you need to set the purpose. So before starting, we need to determine what you need to learn from the text, such as the specific rules for the vessel traffic, how to operate new equipment, or an understanding of a particular research findings. Then next is the scheme and preview. So as I discussed about earlier regarding the scheming, so get a sense of the document structure by looking at the headings, figures, and the introductions to understand the main topic. So again, as part also as a pre-reading or before you read, quickly look over the titles, headings, summaries, or any graphs or tables to get an overview and understand the context of the maritime informations you're about to read. Another one is you need to think about what you already know. About this specific maritime topic, you make a connections and improve the comprehensions. So by this, you will activate your prior knowledge. Another step that we have is the during the reading or while reading annotations techniques. So while reading, you need to mark the text. So by this, you're going to use a system of symbols, highlights, or underlines to identify some key points, unfamiliar terms, questions and concerns, and connections. So the key points, these are the main arguments or the central ideas and the essential definitions. So under the unfamiliar terms, circle or highlights the technical jargons and write down its definitions. So you need to circle or highlight the unfamiliar maritime terms and look for the synonyms to write above them to improve your understanding. So under the questions and concerns, you need to jot down some questions that arise or points of confusions or areas you disagree with. So by this, you need to engage with the text by asking a critical questions like what is the main idea here or how does this apply to a real world maritime situations. Next is the connection. So under this, you have to note how new informations relates to other regulations, like previous readings or your own experience at the sea. Next is you need to summarize or write the brief summaries of the key sections or concepts in the margins to test your understanding. And of course, you need to use a key or legend. You need to create a key or some asterisk for the important or a question mark for confusing to make your annotations very clear. And lastly, during the reading also, you need to use a different formats. So for the text, you can mark, use a sticky notes or a separate notebook to record your annotations. So these are the ones that can help you to make your advanced reading skills during the reading. So next is if we have some strategies for before reading and during the reading. Next is the post reading or the after reading. So this time you're going to reinforce your learning. So I have here the first strategies that we have is to review some annotations. So meaning you need to go back over your notes to solidify your understanding and recall some important details for a test or a critical situations at the sea. Next is to synthesize the information, meaning you need to connect ideas from a different part of the text or across the multiple maritime sources to gain a deeper and more integrated understanding. So, by summarizing all, after each section or paragraphs, you need to write at least 1 to 2 sentences um just to summarize in your own words to check your understanding. And of course, you need to use your mind just to create the image of the concept or draw a simple mind maps or a diagram to show how the maritime ideas are connected. And after all of that, after revisiting your annotations and notes and space intervals, this is going to strengthen your memory of the material. And if possible, discuss your annotations and insights with your colleagues just to gain the different perspective on the maritime text. So we have here some benefits of active annotations. First, of course, to improve the comprehensions. So, deeper understanding and complex maritime information. This is improve your comprehensions. Another one is to enhance your memory because it will give you a better retentions of critical details and procedures. It also increase your concentrations to keep you focused and engaged with the materials. Creation of study tools. Your annotations become a personal study guide for a future reference. Another is better decision making. So, supports informed decisions in a complex maritime scenarios. So, these are the benefits of the active annotations. So, again, we have the three strategies for the active reading and annotations, like before reading, during the reading, and of course the post reading or after. So the next topic that we have here is about the decoding some technical languages. So to decode the technical maritime language, we're going to use the standard maritime communication phrases, or what we call the SMCP, a standardized vocabulary developed by the International Maritime Organization, or what we call the IMO, to ensure the clear communications, especially for the safety and emergencies. So you need to familiarize yourself with the specific technique terms like the fore starboard means the front right hand side, and to understand the official, formal, and often archaic style of the maritime English. So first, you need to understand the purpose of the maritime English. So the maritime English serve as a common standardized language for a professionals from diverse linguistic background. This is to ensure the clear communications for safety and efficiency. So this is the primary tools for decoding the maritime communication because it provides a set of simple and precise and standardized phrases to minimize the understanding, especially between crew from a different linguistic background. So regarding the safety and efficiency, its primary goal is to facilitate a communication in diverse situations, from routine operations to emergency response. So, this time we're going to prevent the misunderstanding that could lead to accident. Next is you need to learn these standardized phrases. So, the International Marine or Maritime Organization, or what we call the IMO, they created the Standard Marine Communication Phrases, or the SMCP, to simplify and standardize the essential English phrases for the seafarers. So by this, the SMCPs aim to precise a simple and unambiguous, reducing the complexities of the grammar and vocabulary to improve the understanding and minimize the error. So under these compulsory requirements, they need to understand or understanding and using the IMO SMCP is a mandatory requirements for officers in charge of a navigational watch according to the STCW convention. Another one is to master the specific maritime. This time you need to contextual understanding. So many terms have precise, specialized meaning in the maritime context. So for example, the word draft, this is to refers to how deep of a vessel tilts in the water. Next is the using the dictionaries. So in maritime dictionary, this is invaluable tool for looking up and understanding the specialized terms like the block, meaning the unit with the multiple shifts, or the athwartship. So maritime English includes some specific vocabulary for a technical such that found can be found in their manuals, charts, and logbooks. Another one is, of course, you need to study the manuals and charts. So, reading the technical documents such as the vessel manuals, navigational charts, and deck logbooks will help you understand the context and usage of the maritime terms. Another one that we have here is the practice and exposure. So this will be the hands-on learning. So you need to engage in learning activities that directly correspond to the professional needs of the shipping industry as recommended by organizations. So another one is realistic scenarios. So you need to be participate in the simulation-based course that place you in a real-world on-board scenario, allowing you to practice using the SMCP and the other maritime phrases under pressure. So here in maritime English, they often use some formal and archaic expressions to create a tone of authority and clarity. So in spoken and maritime English, you need to focus on the clarity and transparency. So this often involves using the simplified grammar or the syntax to convey information quickly and directly, particularly in emergency situations. So this is still part of our topic regarding the decoding. So we have healed the jargons. So we discussed this before. It's about the specialized vocabulary, the specialized words. We also have some abbreviations and acronyms. So these are the common and technical documents. So they're going to create the personal glossary or use of company specific reference guide. Another one is the symbols. So these are the standard symbols for engineering, electronics, and navigations. So this includes the electrical diagrams and symbols for resistors like that. So, okay. So next we jump in our next topic. It's about the visual literacy, interpreting the diagrams and charts. So the visual literacy in maritime industry, this is the ability to correctly interpret and understand the wide array of the diagrams, charts, and symbols, and also the visual data they use in the navigations and ship management. So here we have the key maritime charts here. So first we have the nautical charts. So these are the specialized map showing the marine areas and coastlines. So this one that displaying the depths, dangers, aids to navigation, and seabed features to support the safe navigations. So the nautical charts are the primary source of the navigational informations as well as the visual literacy. So we have here the charts first. So the charts are the categorized categorized by the scale or the size which determine their purpose. So we have here a different types of plans or charts here. So first is what we call the harbor plans. So this is the large scale maps for navigating within the harbor. So this one, the harbor plans, it's also they provide the high levels of details, showing some features like the dock locations, pier, and moorings and underwater hazards. Okay. Another one is the coastal charts. So we will going to discuss these charts one by one later on. So first, the coastal charts. This one is for the navigation along the coastline. We have another one, what we call the general charts or the sailing charts. So this time, this is the smaller scale charts. So they use this for the offshore navigation over the large areas. So before that, let's discuss about the harbor plans. So harbor plans, these are can refer to the safe harbor retirement plans. So which is to simplify compliance for the businesses by meeting the certain IRS or the non-discrimination requirements. And or the harbor construction projects which are meticulously planned by the marine engineers and other professionals to create the safe, functional, and environmentally sustainable marine or maritime infrastructure. So these plans involves site analysis, infrastructure design, and securing the financing and goal, including economic competitiveness, environmental resilience, and safety. So first, we have here the Safe Harbor plans or the 401k plans. So the purpose of this is to automatically satisfy the IRS non-discrimination test for the 401k plans, reducing the administrative burden for employees. So we also have here some requirements. So meaning that the employers must provide the required contributions or matching or non-elective and meet the non-profitability rules. So what are the benefits of this? So this one, it's set in and forget it. So this one is to approach to compliance, avoiding the potential refunds to highly compensated employees. So we need to take note also that employers must provide a notice to participate explaining the safe harbor features before the starts of each plan year. Next is the harbor construction plan. So this one, it involves the site selection, engineering instruction, and operational phrases requiring the collaborations between the marine engineers, architects, and government agencies. So this harbor construction plan, this one, it involves a multi-stage plan, site selection, where factors like the environmental conditions, economics, and access are very important. So these are the process that emphasize detailed site studies. So including the bathymetry and geotechnical assessment to ensure the structural integrity, environmental responsibility, and economic viability. So we have here some key consideration, of course. First is the site's suitability. So selecting the location with a good anchor holding grounds, protection from storm and large waves, and sufficient space for maneuvering. So the suitable location is chosen based on the environmental, geological, hydrological, and economic factor. Another one is the environmental factors. So this one, it's accounting for the tidal fluctuations, storm surge, reverse discharge, and other phenomena that affect the water levels. Another one is what we call the structural soundness. So this one, it discusses the designing for the marine environment and ensuring the long-term viability of the harbor infrastructure. Another one that we have here is about the community and the urban planning plans. So this one, the plan's aim is to direct growth and development in a specific geographic areas. They're often used for the or often those with the harbor and coastal features. Like for example, we have the Harbor Gateway Community Plan in Los Angeles, which is a document that updates the land use designations and zoning with a specific community area to guide the development. So the community and urban planning in maritime setting, there are focuses in the integrating the human activities. So with the marine environment, through the strategies like the marine or the maritime spatial planning, the coastal marine plans, that involves the collaborations, transparent process for managing the uses of the sea and the coastal areas. So these plans, they aim to achieve the ecological and economic and social goals by the strategically allocating the space and time for a various activities. So of course it includes the shipping, the aquaculture, energy and recreations. So another charts that we have is what we call the coastal chart. So the coastal charts are the type of the nautical charts that provide the detailed informations for a safe navigation inshore waters such as the bay, harbors, and along coastlines. So here, this is the detailed medium scale nautical charts. So here, the coastal charts in navigations are designed for the inshore coastwise navigations. So where the course might involve navigating through the reefs, shoals, and the large inland waterways. So this is the design for the voyages that stay close to land. So where the course can be run in a near offshore like the reefs or the shoals. It also provides some vital informations for the safe passage, including some depths, features and hazards, aids and currents. So here depths it's about the water depths and the indication of the sea floor. So this is the detailed surroundings of the sea floor. We also have the land features along the coast like prominent lands or topography. We also some locations of the rocks, wrecks and other dangers to navigation. So those are parts of the hazards. Another is the position of the navigational aids such as the buoys, the lights, and the channel markers. We need to consider also, or we can also found in the coastal charts is what we call the current, or the information and the current force and the directions. So the harbor charts, we need to classify, we have here some classification by scale. So the harbor plans scales is in the, it could be 1 to 50,000 3000 or larger, showing the highly detailed areas for the ports and harbors. So here are the some scales for a, it depends on the charts. We also have here some availability. So the availability is the about the different materials or resources that we can found by these charts. So we have here some paper charts. So these are the traditional paper charts that are still produced, although some countries are moving towards on the on-demand or electronic systems. We also have here what is as I said earlier regarding the electronic charts or what we call the electronic navigational charts. These are also available in electronic formats integrated into navigation systems on the vessels. Lastly is the national charts. So, hydrophobic offices such as the Philippines, NAMRIA, or the UK's Admiralty are or they can provide the official nautical charts for their respective waters. So these are the different charts that we can found or resources that we can use. So by paper, electronic, and then national resources. So that's it for today. So we discussed about some other advantage or skills in advanced reading skills for today. And we are now on our topic regarding the visual literacy or the diagrams and the charts. So again, this is your instructor Elaine and I hope you learned something. It's about you to having an advanced reading skills regarding in our or on your maritime English course.